The biggest sin Resident Evil 7 committed was not going
Resident Evil
when you press new game, and Resident Evil 2 does not do that. I expect improvement in my games. How dare Capcom? 7 out of 10. Obviously that's just bants, mate. I've been looking forward to the Resident Evil 2 remake for a long time. It was nice to learn that we would be getting more of the classic Resident Evil gameplay, but with modern conveniences added in. And Resident Evil 2 is definitely more of that, and has a much bigger scope than Resident Evil 7. If you have played the original, then there's no need to worry about the remake being too similar. This is a very good remix. Obviously the plot is the same with a few minor differences, but now with the advantages of modern technology we can see some of those scenes that looked a bit awkward and janky on the PS1 rendered in banging detail with much better acting. It's a decently scary game as well. There's a few scripted jump scares, but there are plenty of naturally occurring ones. For example, walking along, hearing a noise, lifting your flashlight up and seeing a licker dribbling on you. You also get the sense of dread when going into new areas. What's going to be behind this door? Some ammo? Oh, no, it's Mr. X. Yes, the big Undertaker cosplay enthusiast is back and he's been incorporated into both scenarios. He is a persistent menace who is very intimidating at first, following you into rooms and making you his bitch, but once you figure out his routine and patterns, he is an absolute pushover. And then he just becomes an annoyance, especially when you notice how to exploit his AI, which I will touch on in a bit. The controls are very good. They are just clunky enough so you feel vulnerable, but tight and responsive enough so you can hold your own, if that makes sense. The aiming can be quite difficult when you're panicking, which was a great design choice. You're meant to take your time and aim to make shots more accurate, but when there's 3 zombies in close proximity, that all goes out the window. You also have some handy quality of life improvements that weren't in the original. You get defense items, so if something grabs you, you can shove a knife or grenade in its mouth. The map marks where items are once you've found them, making it easier to backtrack if you don't have the inventory space. And speaking of inventory space, you can find inventory expanding hip pouches. The damage is inconsistent though, mainly for the zombies. One headshot is enough to stop a zombie dead. Some other times it takes more bullets than they have pores in their skin. The same when you go for the kneecaps, one can knock them down or 5,000. And even when you dump more lead into a zombie's face than America's drinking water and take them down, it's pretty random if they decide to get back up again. Using your knife to check they are dead is a good idea, but then when you come back later, the twat's back up. Again, despite having more bullets in their brain than brain cells. The AI is inconsistent as well. The lickers are supposed to be blind, but have super hearing, so you're meant to walk to avoid them, but that isn't always the case. They immediately spot you and gouge your eyes out. Enemies can't enter save rooms too, which I understand it would be annoying if they could, but you can use this by creaking open the door a bit and drilling them. Mr. X I also found easy to exploit. He gets stuck on objects and is pretty easy to give the runaround. Yes, the unpredictability lends more to the scare factor, panicking if you have enough ammo in that, but I remember the older games used to be pretty consistent with damage. Weird that it's taken a step back in that direction. Also, the scenario system has the same problem I had with the original, in that there's too much repeated content. To explain the scenario system to people who haven't played it before, you do scenario A with either character and then you do B to see what the other one was up to at the same time. A good idea, but puzzles are repeated, doors that you unlocked with one character appear locked again, and you fight a lot of the same bosses, which aren't that great by the way. It's typical shoot the weak point shite. I did Claire A, Leon B, and it just made me think, did Claire lock these doors as pure banter to Leon? And the bosses who I fought in Claire's, did they rebuild the area they destroyed and then prepare for a second round against Leon? It just took me out of the game a bit. I could forgive it on the PS1 because of technical limitations, but with what we have now, more should have been done to make each scenario feel unique. Don't get me wrong, there are differences, just not enough in my opinion. The sound does a hell of a job to make the game more atmospheric. I'm pretty sure Mr. X's boot stomps will haunt people's dreams, and it's nerve-wracking to hear a disturbing noise when you enter a room but can't locate it until you go round a corner and there's a zombie. The graphics do well as well. The zombies all look horrible, and I mean that in a nice way. The lighting and shadows look so atmospheric. Also, the environments look like they really have been effed up by a zombie apocalypse. At the end of the day, despite some of its immersion-breaking design choices, it's an easy game to recommend. The fact that it evoked the same feelings of dread I had when playing the original is enough to praise it. Also, Claire looks well fit in this game. Gotta say it quietly because my girlfriend's in the next room.